This is London with Bitcoin Spike and VIP Trader. Let's dig into the details. We have New York closing in T minus 10 minutes. This is London, former hedge fund owner, private, non-SEC, not financial advice, Duke University, Harvard Business School. Hope you're doing well. Guys, for our specific action on Bitcoin, we'll talk about NVDA as well. We'll talk about Tesla as well. Looking at the details, let's dig into if we were to dig in, let's talk about Tesla. Let's start with Tesla. We'll go into Bitcoin. By the way, real quickly to cover Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I had discussed the specific level of resistance across the top. We had a bit of a shakeout, boom, to the downside. If you were paying attention, if you shorted at that level of resistance, congratulations. Again, what engaged our fire and ice, also the top band on the daily. Boom, nice hit. Lower time frames will show a near flat top that was returned to. We frequently see this in the market. Orders, I always say, are waiting in this specific zone. So looking at Bitcoin, the volatility we're attracted to, you got it today. If you traded, congratulations. I want to shout out to all of our VIP. Just got a message from Venus. Shout out to Venus. I hope you are in the stream as well as some of our VIP. We'll talk about Tesla. What I want to try and do is see if there are any specific moves that we should, guys, that we should prepare for tomorrow, okay? Let's see if we have any just glaring things we can't ignore in the market that we need to pay attention to. On NVIDIA, it would be the pickup at the weekly 20 moving average. All right, that would be what we cannot ignore right now. If you hold that position, it's a difficult position to release. I would just say that and just say, yeah, guys, it's a nice position. With that said, we are looking at a specific kind of an interesting week, aren't we? In terms of the specifics on Wednesday, this particularly looking at the guys, the Fed is never great news. It's the Fed has softened up quite a bit. So to the extent that we can maintain. And it wouldn't just be on NVIDIA. There are quite a few stocks in flux, not just Bitcoin, which is expressing volatility, but kind of on a cliff's edge here. As we look at this level of resistance carried down on NVIDIA to the level of support, nice that we identified this lower level pickup if you participated, which is that 20 moving average on the weekly, okay? If you participated in that, I just have to say congratulations, nicely done. If you were short into this target here, the specific target on that daily, nicely done. In terms of patterning and considerations, nothing is just glaring right now. If we were to look at the primary considerations, not a lot of movement on NVIDIA since the pickup this morning. And again, I encourage you to lay out your time frames so that you're capturing. And if you like to use the 5 and the 20 or the guys, the 4, the 9, the 18, the 50, the 200, the 100, there along with whatever you're using, make sure that you have it laid out to where you can actually participate in the price action. Please make note of the specific time frames that are most relevant to you. We have the 3, the 5, the 15, the 30, the hourly. We have the 4 hourly, the daily, the weekly. And what we are looking at on an open, okay, is a nice specific level that is being engaged. What on the open, when we open tomorrow, will engage where? Will orders be waiting? Okay, if we were to get a drop like we did today, boom, perfectly on the 20 moving average, you have to be able to assess what's going on during the open. Having the specific layout of multiplicity of time frames will assist you, obviously. There as well, having multiple screens, as you know, is very important. I encourage you to lay out RSI, your MACD, all your primary indicators on a separate entire layout, okay, an entire screen, so that you can assess such. Nice to see the specific move back to recapture this on NVIDIA today on the 15 minute, okay, the specific, that apex here was recovered. That's a sign of strength for NVIDIA. And what are we about? T minus 5 in terms of the close. Let's look at one move here. If we were to look at the 4 hourly, this is in play. So let's pay attention to the extent that if you miss the low today, it could get a little bit difficult to re-hit this specific low, but let's pay attention to what carry down feature did get hit as well today. You know, we frequently talk about let's say this, the dynamic in play, level of resistance carried down to a level of support. This is the 4 hourly chart on NVIDIA. Looking at the specific carry down feature, this line is holding. Okay, the line was targeted and the line is holding. You would have to backtrack a bit through lower time frames to get the exact expression down as the buyers got picked up on that level. We discuss carry down features frequently. So this was a nice level to see hold nearly on the wicks exactly, nearly exactly on the wicks. So in addition to the daily features that we have been looking at in terms of this specific line here, in addition to that 20 moving average on the daily, just note how well NVIDIA is trading. Note how well NVIDIA is trading, both including the specific downside target completion to the bottom side band on the Bollinger after the crossover of the 20. Trading tactic, you guys got that. New York Institute of Finance. To include that specific hit there, but particularly the pickup was there. So may we revisit this level will be a key consideration. You have the 20 moving average on the weekly laid out quite nicely after that pickup today. So nice to see, not just the pickup, but just nice to see you all trading. The fact that we talked about the specific move down and a bit of the chaos moving, guys, forward outside of the parameters of this level of support is not comfortable for the bulls. Understood? Understood, capiche, guys. In terms of that specific set that we're looking at, we're just going to be a little bit beyond that, that comfort zone on NVIDIA. It is what it is. We cannot change it. And with the move she had today and the recovery now up 0.11 with about 3 minutes left on the New York on the New York day here, we have to say we wouldn't have really changed anything, would we? No, it's a beautiful pickup on the 20 moving average, beautiful pickup on that parallel carry down and on the specific double pivot trend line. So nicely done. In terms of currently where are we at, we're just about on that 30, just barely up and over the specific 30 moving average. That 20 moving average on the 30-minute time frame is in question with a bit of a bull flag. All right, so there is this specific upside target which the bulls have flirted with a bit today, have not achieved that upside band, which would be about that 444 mark. Okay, so that 30-minute is in question with a bit of a hurdle, a bit of a long indication here on the specific hourly. Okay, so that hourly, we'd be looking at a specific short opportunity, maybe on open tomorrow. We'll keep that in mind. And in addition, all the downside targets here. Real quickly, Tesla hasn't gotten much attention today. It looks like the hot ticket's going to be that parallel carry down tomorrow. We're just about on that, depending upon how you measure the parallel carry down. This is on the hourly or 4 hourly. You'll see the specifics. We didn't want to necessarily go to this line. You guys know this specific level of support. However, it looks like it's just attracting attention. So we will go there. Okay, Elliott Wave experts can explain to us whether or not we'll have an extended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, guys. If you want to extend the wave 5, wave 1, or the wave 3, Elliott experts could maybe explain whether or not we'll get an extension of any one of those. Probably not. Probably they won't be able to explain if and when we're about to receive an extension in terms of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, or is this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with an extended 1? It's that's one of the beauties, they say, of Elliott Wave interpretation, is that it is for interpretation. But mind yourself that we're along that level of support on just incoming in terms of the open tomorrow. Let's take a look at that in the morning and pre-market with pricing. Tomorrow, and New York is closed. Congrats to everybody who traded. What a day down for Tesla. A little bit of a break in the action there. 3% down on the day. Nice move, we have to say, for Tesla. Particularly nice recovery for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is on a really strong, if we were to distinguish between the two, just to remind, on Tesla, we have some dynamics in play here. You guys see this. We have some dynamics and some lower levels of consideration along a level of support here, without a doubt. The difference between Tesla, as we look at Tesla, let's go to the 4 hourly. On Tesla is looking nicely comfortable up and above this level of support in terms of its trend channel. It's Elliott channel right now. It's wave formation where we caught this flag. Very close here, about the 110 mark on the bottom in terms of communicating that to you guys. Looking at the specifics here, the question is and will remain that the extent to which we would look at if we're let's call this, now it could be inverse head and shoulders, also could be on Tesla, the specific curvature formation with a bit of a V bottom cup and handle. This specific level has orders just piled up and waiting. You know that in terms of the preceding level of resistance, it's loaded with orders, okay? You don't need to be an order book genius to know that this is where the orders are weighted, guys, in terms of the level of preceding resistance as well on this specific preceding level of support in this zone. So this is a hot zone. It would require, this lower level would require us to get down below that specific trend line, which we identified here. The big point would be the following: to distinguish Tesla and to distinguish NVIDIA. This is the chart for Tesla. You'll see that we're comfortably up and above a specific level of support on the macro, whereas on NVIDIA, we are really pushing on in and through, technically on in and through the macro level of support. So it is a more aggressive, obviously a more aggressive chart on NVIDIA. Boom, to the upside. One of the primary movers in the market in 2023. We're excited to trade it, lots of volatility. One of the biggest moves here upon that earnings surprise that we've had in decades, and literally in decades. The amount that was added in terms of market cap to NVIDIA was one of the biggest market moves in decades, okay? Single market moves in decades. So yeah, NVIDIA, it has our attention for the reason of being a primary, if not the primary market mover. But do recognize the distinction between, as we take the specific parallel carry down resistance to support. Yes, NVIDIA is a bit more in a more precarious, in a bit more of a precarious situation, given the literal just contact and potential ongoing breach of that level of support. Typically, this would be where bulls want to engage. The largest trades come from, when you're in a channel formation, a bull channel formation, the largest trades come from the level of support. Absolutely. So we don't like to see these levels of support threatened. We don't like to see them, we don't like to see that action frustrated at all. Though that's where the bulls really get to enjoy, aside from any big surprise moves in the market. This is the consistency. This is kind of the breadwinner here. This is the one in terms of identification of a channel formation. This would be where for streaming. You're welcome, Venus. I'll put my pleasure here. My pleasure, Venus. Thank you for the appreciation. Let me put my pleasure. There we go. In terms of streaming, it's a pleasure to bring you some information and just recap. You may not know, as you look at a bull trend, that the primary just the go-to move here is going to be on the level of support. As you see a bull trend, that's what we want to participate with. That's the most consistent move that we could expect, aside from our patterning, etc. But when you see just a strong movement, if we were to look at Apple, for instance, in the past, and we'll jump back over to let's say Bitcoin in just a moment, but looking at Apple, you can see, you're talking about breadwinners, huh? Okay, we've got a breadwinner here. Boom. Looking at that, that's a nice, consistent channel going to the candle wicks, etc. That's just nice, guys. Reinforce. This is Apple on the daily. That's money, guys. When you can find that level of consistency, and Apple has a way of getting going like this, that's some cash. That is a nice, consistent. I will say Apple has a tendency to be a slow mover, right? So what we don't like to see, and Apple's a great example, we don't like to see these channels broken, boom, to the downside. However, right, we do have some nice targets below. In this instance, on the daily on Apple, you see what got hit, bam. Okay, so what we're discussing is highly relevant in terms of the tactics. Obviously, you're looking at Apple, which I remember these times very specifically, and these are just nice moves. Boom, right? Looking at the tactics that we employ, but just considering the channel framework while we let's say discuss or distinguish. As we distinguish NVIDIA right now along the level of support, and frustrating a bit, right? And that was pertinent, that was relevant that we just looked at Apple on the daily with that capitulation through, as you saw, capitulation through that 20 moving average. And what did it hit? Bottom side band. Boom. Worked as a nice target entry. Bam, back to the upside. Those are good trends. Those are good trends, you know that. So as we're looking at something like NVIDIA, as we're looking at something like, and I know the next thing on your agenda that you would think of is, you know, what about a Bitcoin trend line, right? As you look at Bitcoin and you look at how difficult she can be to get in a nice trend line. Like it's, you know, it's very frustrating for traders sometimes just the way that Bitcoin will behave, but you'll see some reinforcement here as well, right? And particularly recently as of last couple of years, you just see a nice framework here, right? Apple looked a little more consistent, okay, a little less aggressive. If you're noting the technicals in play, maybe a little bit more consistent and less aggressive. We have some variability here. Some advanced tactics would be in play in terms of probably a standard deviation of 1 here would be very interesting. A standard deviation of 1 in addition to the, and we can carry our cap line on that, but a standard deviation of 1 and the 2 is being relevant in addition to the specific 20 moving average. But you saw on, didn't you just see this on Apple, for instance, what makes this a nice issue back and through, where was this? Back and through, where were we? And we may have some variability there. Let's find that specific. What we had found was just multiple hits along that 20, right? Reinforced multiple hits. We like the 20 as a mid-level to the extent that we would also, I would just say that we would also consider that 1 standard deviation on any real aggressive price. It may be a literal, it may be a literal, and here we go, is nice action up along that 20 on the daily for Apple. It may be part of a condition of acceleration when the 20 is no longer in play and we're actually riding higher up along the specific, at least the first standard deviation band, okay, that first level of standard deviation. Instead of a resistance, it's acting as a support. A more accelerated move there would be, for instance, if indeed the second standard deviation line, that top band, were acting as a level of support instead of a level of resistance and a target for entry for shorts. So it's a measurement of strength in the trend. We can look at it that way, but I do bring that up so that we can assess right now on NVIDIA where we're at, level of support. These are the levels we'd like to hold. Given that fact, let's look at something just very briefly. In terms of the entirety of the market, this is the NASDAQ. So if we were to look at the tech sector index being the NASDAQ, what we're going to be able to evaluate is NVIDIA is not in a unique circumstance right now because the NASDAQ is right along that level of support as well. Many of the other specific, and you'll just see a carry down function, a level of resistance to a level of support. It seems like NVIDIA is in a bit more of a precarious situation, technically. This specific flat bottom here may put the NASDAQ in even a bit more of a precarious situation, to be frank about the patterning to the downside. We don't like descending triangles, and the flat bottom support is an indication of such on the NASDAQ. So everybody's watching this. You guys know. Everybody is certainly watching this. We haven't had any runaway news stories in terms of inflation that I can specifically recall. If we have, you can let me know. But as of late, it hasn't been a hot topic in terms of inflation, in terms of the pressure, et cetera, that we're anticipating something to go, let's say any surprise that we might have. CPI has been in line. Everything's been in line. So looking at that, what we can say is the following. Let's look at the specifics on, and I want to go to a different chart here. At times, okay, at times, and many times, we may, and the market can at any point in time, deviate from, and we saw this on the Apple chart we just looked at. We're just looking at charts. We'll go through crypto here in a moment, guys. But looking at strong bull trends, what we're going to be focused on and looking at, I'll look at any chart, guys. I'll look at corn futures, soy futures. I'll look at anything. Looking at the, let's discuss the possibility here of the following. If we were to, and I don't want to draw this in to project. I want to draw it in to discuss. If we were to, you got it, break the primary trend line as such, nobody's really going to be complaining. You guys understand, if we were to break the primary trend channel, we have a nice move to the upside. Typically nice moves to the upside will want to repeat. Now, that is compromised a bit by this double bottom. It takes a heck of a bull trend to complete this to the upside in terms of we don't like to set double bottoms along the way up. We just typically don't. We don't enjoy doing that. We do not have a throw over the level of resistance per se, which would give us a heavier indication that we would be heading back down through this primary level of support. We don't have that throw over. That's relevant, okay? As you would look at the specifics here, when we get a throw over, we're always going to be paying attention that bears will try and overcompensate after being burned a bit back down through this level of support. Okay, so this is on the NASDAQ. What's going to be important is this zone in here. Obviously, this week is hot. This specific zone here is big, but do not be completely dismayed if we were to get an opportunity as such. We will take it. We would love to see something along those lines. It will, to go up like a rocket ship would be fine, but you will see in the past here, we have some nice strong moves to the upside, and then we have some patterning that goes on before another leg up. So assuming the economy stays strong, assuming that there are no fires per se in terms of the economy or how things are being handled or unfolding, we would, we don't mind some consolidation. Just prepare. When I say prepare for volatilities, volatility orders are waiting below. I say that frequently, and you all know what I mean. That would mean, for instance, on NVDA, let me see if I can backtrack here, away from the NASDAQ, and we'll just need to see this play out a bit. We're on support is the bottom line. We're pushing within threshold. We're on support. A little bit unhappily, a little bit painfully on NVIDIA, just a little bit. It's compromised by the specific level of support here. So to the extent that we have some additional patterning, let's not let that outweigh the opportunities that there are still. Boom. Let's say, for instance, for a pickup right on target. So plenty of trade opportunities there on NVIDIA. It'll be an interesting, just an interesting segue that we look into Wednesday. A couple of days from now, and do appreciate while NVIDIA, while NASDAQ are certainly right on that level of support, we have some extra breathing room on Tesla. So Tesla has a little bit of breathing room, and what's being considered right now in Tesla, so that you know, that any type of a breach, as would be the case, the preceding move here, that move to the upside in that downward sloping channel, really gave us a beautiful bull flag, one of the best ones we've had, if not the best one we've had in years. So the market right now is assessing this move to the upside, right, and assessing the potentiality for a move back to the downside to create another dynamic, just fantastic trade opportunity. We had one here, boom, to the upside. We really had one here from the 110 mark as well. And she doesn't always make it easy, but she makes it worth it in terms of the price action. So appreciate that Tesla has some additional room to the downside to potentially formulate an additional, let's just say, the patterning in play. And again, the key consideration for me on Tesla is what? And if you trade a lot, we're just having a discussion. It's really beyond anything beyond that. As we were to look at this, the key consideration on Tesla, and I know you trade a lot, so we can talk about it. The key consideration is the value opportunity if and when and to the extent we can operate anywhere below this level of resistance. Bottom line, any type of movement below this level of resistance is a value opportunity. All right. This is our key level of resistance now. And yes, it's a shared level of resistance along with this specific feature here, which also is, we could go from a micro fractal to a macro approach. I like the specifics here in terms of this specific lead in, and I want you, and I know that you can understand the importance of a lead in the context of a bump and run, right? Without a doubt, the bump and run is something to be respected in the markets. So you won't pick up necessarily on a bump and run with this broadening wedge, all right? You just won't on the macro on Tesla. So pay attention to the specific lead in and this bump feature, right? This recoup back into that original lead in resistance and support dynamic. And just the fact is, on these patterns, anything below this line is a value opportunity. Okay, so that's the way that I approach these when I trade. I know that's the way that if you trade a lot, you're approaching these as well. Looking at the chart, just surveying it as we see this left shoulder, very, very, very nice in terms of that head formation. The right shoulder, have we dug in enough for a right shoulder? I think we have, but it could be a bit debatable. It could be just a touch debatable. It's like, well, that left shoulder is a nice, hefty left shoulder. I don't know. Have we dug in quite enough? I don't know. This is on the map right now. If I take this amplitude of left shoulder, if we were to go with an inverse head and shoulder, and I just carry it over, it literally would provide us with a hit back upon a projected level of support in the form of a bull flag, period. So that's not bad. The true technical experts would say, yeah, but we would have liked you to have broken down earlier in this, right? You frustrated the pattern. Now we have an expansion in this zone. We don't mind an expansion at all, okay? But as we were to look at this, a true technical, someone proficient in technicals would have said, yeah, but Tesla, couldn't you have broken here and really, gotten down in a hurry and back up so we could have completed the right shoulder and that bull flag? Might have been too good to be true. She was extremely kind on this lower bull flag. Rarely do you see something that well laid out. So in terms of the specifics, tomorrow's open will be something we will look at, and tomorrow we'll be looking at some levels in advance based on the pricing in the back. We'll be looking at, I know that you're all doing that, but for instance, as we were to look at the specifics on, and let me make sure that my chart is set up here. There we go. As we look at, let's say, pricing and trade opportunities before the market, pre-market pricing, we'll go through that in the back tomorrow. If you guys have any charts, throw them in there. Let's look at them. I'll also address what levels are currently in play. And in between me making sure that our mics are set up today and a few other issues ongoing, we just had not a lot of time to do that this morning per se. Bitcoin was also hot. Pay attention. What happened this morning? Pay attention. Pay attention. What happened this morning? We trade what? We trade NVIDIA, we trade Tesla, and we trade Bitcoin, right? What happened this morning? What stole the show? Bitcoin. What was hot? NVIDIA, right? As you work your magic in the market and look at, I'm just saying, we were up 3%. We were down on Tesla, down on NVIDIA, right? Bitcoin was up 3%. That was the name of the game this morning. Where is Bitcoin going? How high is she going? She was at target. Literally, she was at target. Boom, topside band and top pro line on the daily. However, she seemed to manage the excitement and the attention. True. So Bitcoin was a nice curveball as NVIDIA was powering straight into a very, 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 very obvious level. True. Fact, right? So watch these, watch the motion here, watch the distraction, watch what you're focused on as we dig into and get excited about something or something's got our attention. You got to be able to juggle just a little bit, right? And if you practice, you can, probably. But the analogy is there to be able to balance the assets that you're looking at. It just today was a dead-on ringer, perfect example of that. And what recoiled later on, and that would be Bitcoin. So she stole the show early. NVIDIA, just make sure if you're focused on opportunities in the market, to the extent you can pre-place any orders, this is what I find helpful for me, pre-placing orders, identifying key spots, levels of interest, right? Always with a stop loss, guys, in terms of that, unless you're on some accumulation schedule or a particular managed future, you may be doing a cut, what we call them a catch and release on that specific, on those specifics. So what I will say is we are back to Bitcoin, okay? We will be pre-market, and you guys post in the back. To the extent you'd like to post in the back, whatever you're looking at, that would be great. And noteworthy today is Solana. Solana's doing well, up 5.32%. Not bad, not bad at all. Nice day for Solana. And she's pushing up and over that specific daily 20 moving average. So that's noted. Nice to see Solana regain a little bit of a flow. And the big consideration here, the big worry, we had the Mt. Gox worry with Bitcoin. Now we've got the FTX worry. Just be prepared for the unexpected. Please be prepared for the unexpected. And to the extent that you have a master's, degree in crystal balling, you have to look at the FTX fallout, right? Then just a doldrum for a while and immediate. This was the FTX fallout. A doldrum sideways, then immediate recoup on that. That's tough to explain, guys. That's tough to explain. That's an institutionally kind of the bedrock foundational framework of crypto. Boom. Now, crypto lives on beyond FTX, sure, but that was a big move down, right, to completely swing back up like nothing had happened. So to the extent that you are feeding yourself too much in terms of the technicals or too much of the story or the fear or the hype or gripe of whatever is out there, okay, the fear and guys, I don't want to call it greed index, but the entirety of what's persuading you, I really encourage you to do one thing. Okay, really two things. I encourage you to find the next instance of expanding volatility in the market. You hear me say this, but I mean it. Find the next level of expanding volatility in the market. Then appropriately, what I normally say after that is it's turned into two things. Now find the other larger expanding volatility in the market to make sure that you're not inappropriately exposed in terms of your capital on the original expansion of volatility. What would I refer to as an expanding some expanding volatility? What would be expanding volatility? Let's look real quickly and recapture this. In terms of expanding volatility, what I would be looking at would be the following. We call them bells, you know what they are, but this is a level of expanding volatility right here. Boom. Now, you can say, how am I supposed to pick that out with practice? Resistance, support, support, resistance, and boom. That was the precursor, the up and out today. We talk about these moves. You know that we do. We talk about these moves, how well they perform. There's a reason that we focus on expanding volatility. We want to be a part of it in terms of a value consideration along the level of support. That's ideal for us, with the understanding that if we're on a lower time frame, without a doubt, while these can trade very well, extremely well, in fact, great case in point here on Bitcoin. It's like, wow, what got Bitcoin up and going? Identify these patterns. I tell you to trade 500 of them. In the context, you will learn to manage these a little bit better and be surprised along the way, like, wow, that one just made some great cash. You know that. So in terms of the next, what I would say the next, and this was a tough pattern here across the top. Our cap line and lower time frames caught the drop without a doubt. We went red in terms of MACD, in terms of RSI and stochastic on that cap line, which is a gauge thereof, and it was lights out. That was it. We had a bull pennant across the top at that level of resistance identified across the top. Boom. That's what I left you guys with. Would have been nice to push into it a little bit harder, but this was my primary consideration here, that level of resistance. And we'd love to say, well, we have some, some nice patterning ongoing here. Just Bitcoin's in a bit of a nondescript, isn't she? A bit of a nondescript pattern framework here. To the extent that we wanted to call this some expanding volatility, we can. We certainly can refer to this as expanding volatility. I'll just tell you, with this expanding volatility here, with this level of support and resistance clearly identified and meeting the requirements, level of resistance 2 hits, level of support 2 hits, yes, this is bullish. I will state for the record that we would love to pick up lower along the level of support. Yes, this is a bullish dynamic. We would love to pick up lower along a level of support, right? We'd love to get down here. If you guys trade these quite a bit, and I know that you do, when you trade these, you learn one thing. We want to get ideally down. This was before the launch, before this trade day. We want to get down here. If we can, we want to get down further to capture more of the move to the upside. If we can get down outside of the level of support, that's when some of the magic really starts happening. Some of the best moves really are some of the most difficult ones. They're not going to be easy to trade. If you trade 500 of them, then go tell someone else to trade 500 of them and have them ask you, will it be easy? Not easy. It's just consistent. That's the main thing. It's not easy. It's just consistent without a doubt. And you would say, well, what do you mean if it poured down through here? Well, we would look at a preceding, let's look at this framework here. Kind, nice, easy? No. But what are we looking at? Preceding level of support, resistance, descending, right? Level of resistance, descending, level of support. And what am I looking at? Now, this is an expanding, essentially it's like an expanding bull flag. but I'm prepared to operate along a level of support, and I'm happy if I can get a break below it into what? One of our fire and ice lines. You know this, right? So as we were to look at this specific micro, we would say, okay, wait, so that's one. We find a micro expansion of volatility, and then wait, let's back out. Let's find a second, larger macro expansion of volatility to see if anything else is in play here to where we can expect, I'd say, manage our margin, our specific level of involvement a bit better. When you get tied up into the micro, you can get a bit aggressive without realizing, and I'd say necessarily going through that important step number 2, which is, okay, I found some expanding volatility. Now find another one, a larger one. Okay, so this would just assist in gauging your level of involvement and making sure that you have the ability to participate along a level of support. The worst thing you want to do is when you were to, and you see how aggressive the specific internal expansion here was. It fell like no one's business. If this is all you saw was a specific level of expansion here, expanding volatility, and you dropped out to here, you may say it's all over. It's not going to happen. It's over. You have to go macro, I say eagle eye, just zoom out, take a look at any other features in place so that you're prepared. You do not want to sell when other people are buying, right? A cataclysm for a long here, a crisis situation for a long here that's overexposed on the micro, and you're not plugged into the macro and this long specific situation here. Boom, that's a nice move, right? Didn't rock it the way that this specific one did. We had some additional patterning in play, right? If we go to the 45-minute or the 30-minute, for instance, we had some additional patterning in play, which made this second one a real, something to really try and hold on to for a moment as we were looking at the specifics for a potential ascending triangle on the 30-minute or 45-minute. So work those details out mentally and, as we would just say, operationally, in terms of your ability to operate in the market and technically, right? It's highly technical without a doubt. So trying to hold preceding level of resistance to support. What is the name of the game right now for me? I want to find some expanding volatility. That's my answer, and my answer, I'll say, aside from a continual consideration, is there a target to the upside or the downside? Always asking myself, is there a target to the upside or a target to the downside? Meaning a flat top resistance, we commonly see a return to flat top resistance, without a doubt. We commonly see that in the market. So do you have a target to the upside? Do you have a target to the downside? All right. And then where is mine? That's always on the map, always on the map. As you start to hunt trades, look for, and that doesn't mean dismiss your bull flags, your rising wedges, your descending wedges, your double tops, triple tops, your any formation that you can look for. The one with the most grit and probable determination to it in terms of the number of hits and the frequency, that's just the strong probabilities you can participate with and have a great real built-in cash management function. It's not me saying this, it's just a fact in terms of the level of volatility is going to be this expansion, the increased volatility. It's going to do your job for you as you look at it, not only in terms of the probabilities, but more so in terms of the specifics for requiring you to be able to participate at lower levels. You have to be prepared for the lower levels or you're a gunner. That's it. So if you can look at your screen, and the problem with a lot of the specific patterns in play is a trader will want to get overexposed in a pattern like this. It's bullish. There's a 60% chance of going to the upside. I'd like 75%, 80%, which you'll get into with specific volatility expansions, along with targeting, along with fractional completions, which we focus on. You know that. You'll get into the over 80%, and I challenge you to look, where is that 80%? You keep hearing it from me. Where is it? Where is it on the fractional completions in terms of the pattern dynamics? Where is that 80%, right? We're at a 72%, 75% on this expansion here. All right, that's why we focus on them. And it does the job for you in terms of keeping you grounded. You can get on the hype train and your account can be gone. Not you all. It won't happen with you. You're very well disciplined, but you can listen to the wrong Joe Blow with the wrong pattern and statistics even, and you can really take a nosedive. You know that. So we focus on the increased volatility because of the probability involved and because of essentially it's a cash management function. It's a profit equation. When I say profit equation, it's telling you where you need to be involved and to what extent, where are your ideal entries. This was your ideal entry here for the entire move up, without a doubt. Right, so as we were to look at that, that's a nice move from this specific feature here. The expanding volatility there caught it on the way up for 4.5% in 3 days. There were more moves in here, but that's not a bad move. We will be in the background to come to you for the close in New York. Technically, we're in a bullish situation here. We're in a bullish patterning framework. We'll be looking again on the specific micro for some additional expanding volatility. Be ready tomorrow to engage, and the rest of the week, let's hit it. Let's knock the lights out. Tricky move with Bitcoin today, overriding the attention, and a little bit, just to talk about it again, a little bit grabbing some attention away from this weekly 20 moving average hit perfect on NVDA. Those of you who had any orders set there at that specific line of support that we talked about, to a good degree on Friday, last week as well on NVIDIA. Congratulations to all of those of you who traded such. We had discussed this specific level frequently, so I'm excited for you guys who decided to pick up and schedule some orders in. That's what VIP is all about, 3-4%. Hey, slamming into some cash, guys. We'll talk to you soon. This is London with Bitcoin Spike and VIP Trader. We will be streaming the open tomorrow. Let's get in the back. Let's find some trades, and let's do what we do. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.